NATO warplanes shot down several Russian drones over Poland this week. Is the Ukraine war about to drag NATO and Russia into a direct conflict? Gold has been the best performing asset so far in 2025. Are we about to see a spillover of rising geopolitical risks to the broader markets? What should you be doing with your money right now? A bully is a person who uses intimidation and threats to exploit an imbalance of power. Whether Donald Trump is a bully or not, there is no denying that he frequently resorts to bullying tactics to achieve his objectives, both in the domestic sphere as well as in the international arena. Don't get me wrong, bullying tactics are not without merits. They can sometimes yield fast results. Trump, for example, was able to strong-arm his party into pushing through his big, beautiful bill in record time. But bullying tactics can also backfire. The popular 1984 movie Revenge of the Nerds illustrates how. In the film, a group of socially awkward college freshmen, after being bullied and excluded from the jock-dominated fraternity system, band together to challenge their oppressors and ultimately turn the tables on them. History has shown again and again that when underdogs stick together, they can prevail over bullies. If the US stock market has rewarded Trump for getting things done quickly, surely the greatest risk to the rally is if those Trump is trying to run over decide to join forces now. Until Trump's second term, BRICS was in name only, a multipolar forum rather than a functional alliance. The member nations have divergent interests, and unlike the EU or even ASEAN, BRICS lacks institutional depth or meaningful policy coordination. The main reason why it failed to develop into something more is that its two biggest members, China and India, are strategic rivals as much as partners. For this, China carries much of the blame. In 2017, just 3 months before the 9th BRICS summit, Chinese troops attempted to extend a road southward into Doklam, a territory claimed by both China and Bhutan, India's ally. 2 days later, 270 Indian troops entered the area to stop the construction. The importance of the famous Doklam standoff lies not in whether China has a legitimate claim over Doklam, but in what the Chinese provocation revealed about Xi Jinping's view about India, a fellow BRICS member. Indeed, during the crisis, Chinese officials openly warned India to learn from history, a pointed reference to India's defeat in the 1962 border war. The episode badly soured China-India relations. Beijing responded by aggressively courting Pakistan, India's arch rival, through expanded military ties and diplomatic support at the United Nations. New Delhi, in turn, chose to deepen its relationship with Washington. Just a few months after the Doklam incident, India played a leading role in reviving the quadrilateral security dialogue, the so-called Quad, with the United States, Japan, and Australia, bringing back to life a strategic grouping that had been dormant for a decade. We live in a dog-eat-dog world. China and the US both employed bullying tactics whenever it suits their interest. The US bullied Canada and Mexico into renegotiating NAFTA in 2018. And China bullied its smaller neighbors as it expanded its territorial claims in the South China Sea. But India was too big for China to bully. Xi Jinping's calculation in 2017 backfired by pushing India into the arms of the United States. History rarely gives anybody a second chance. But as incredible as it may seem, Trump is now giving China an opportunity to undo that mistake. Vladimir Putin must be feeling great right now. For the past 2 years, he's been trying with little success to bring about a reconciliation between China and India, his two biggest customers and most important allies. But Trump came along and helped make it happen for him. It is about the biggest gift Trump could possibly give Putin. What an irony. If China's bullying of India in 2017 pushed New Delhi into the arms of Washington, Trump's bullying of India in 2025 has pushed India back towards China. It is not a coincidence that shortly after Trump hit India with a 50% tariff, Modi decided to visit China for the first time in 7 years. Trump, who prides himself as a strategic negotiator, clearly overplayed his hand. He saw India as a weak link of the BRICS, and he thought that if he could get India to turn its back on Russia, it would be the end of the BRICS. But Trump thought wrong. He might have gotten a trade deal out of Modi had he stuck to economics. But when he demanded India to stop buying Russian oil and Russian arms, it was a bridge too far for Modi. Whether Trump realized it or not, he was asking Modi to surrender India's strategic autonomy and give up his vision of a multipolar world order. What Trump still doesn't understand is that money cannot buy everything and everyone. Trump made the mistake to treat India, a country of 1.4 billion people and a great civilization, as though it were a US vessel like the UK, Mexico, or South Korea. The fact that Trump tweeted this week that the US and India are still talking and that he's still optimistic about a deal suggests he understands he screwed up. But it will be an expensive mistake to undo. But Putin is the biggest beneficiary of Trump's mistake. Energy is the backbone of the Russian economy. It is understandable why the Russia hawks in Washington and Europe are so eager to shut down Russia's energy exports. But Trump's America First policies are pushing China and India closer to Russia. India has overtaken China as the biggest importer of Russian oil. Last week, Russia signed a massive natural gas pipeline deal with China that will allow Russia to supply additional 50 billion cubic meters of gas to China every year. The two countries have been negotiating this deal for several years, but Beijing, wary of the signal that such a deal was sent to the US, kept dragging its feet. In this respect, Beijing's decision to close ranks with Russia is the clearest sign yet of how seriously rattled Chinese leaders are by Trump's determination to contain China at all costs. Now that Putin no longer has to worry about his ability to pay for the war in Ukraine, he's likely to make a go for it. Russian forces have never been in a stronger position in the battlefield since the start of the war. Putin has a strong incentive to make a big push before the weather starts to turn in November. Russian forces have already driven into Kupiansk. If they can quickly run over Ukrainian defenses around Pokrovsk and make a big push towards Sloviansk, they might even have a chance to cut off retreating Ukrainian forces and deal a major blow to Kiev before the winter sets in. What is clear to me is that a Russian victory will not only strengthen Russia's bargaining position, but also those of China, India, and the rest of the BRICS vis-a-vis the US and Trump. Trump said in his inauguration speech that he wanted to be remembered as a peacemaker. The last time a president spent as much time talking about world peace in his inauguration speech was Woodrow Wilson in 1913, a year before the breakout of World War I. Will Trump be an agent of peace or war? Right now, it's not looking too good for his Nobel Peace Prize. I was right about escalating geopolitical risk in the Middle East before the Iran-Israel war, and about escalating geopolitical risks regarding the Ukraine war so far. Rising geopolitical risk is a key reason why gold has been the best performing asset so far this year. If I'm right about the outlook for the Ukraine war over the next 2 months, I expect we will see spillover to the broader financial markets. Wars are bearish for stocks, but I think the biggest loser will be European markets, including the euro. If India and China have woken up to the reality of Trump's second term, the Europeans are still in denial. For reasons that are completely beyond me, European leaders have convinced themselves that once Russia is done with Ukraine, Europe will be next. This is why they have decided to stop Russia at all costs. Even if it means buying more US arms and accepting Trump's 15% tariff that will no doubt only accelerate the deindustrialization of Europe. Meanwhile, Trump is happy to milk Europe's fear for all it's worth. The closing of the ranks of the BRICS and the escalating war in Ukraine will not end well for Europe. It's ironic that Europe invented the term realpolitik. The great Bismarck must be turning in his grave. Thank you for listening.